Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me. For this video, I'm gonna be speaking on being turned out in prison.
Are you done now? Huh?
What's wrong with you? Jealous because I don't cheer for you anymore?
I don't know what you're talking about, freak show.
Whatever, back freckles.
I like the back freckles. She's making up shit now.
Now, this is a crazy ass story. I don't know if I should be using crazy and ass in the video on getting turned out in prison. But anyways, this is a crazy story, right? And the 3 G's to prison: gangs, gambling, and gays. Those are the 3 things that you want to stay as far away from if you want an easy bid without the drama, without the violence. But sometimes it's just going to find you anyways. 2014, 2015, I was at Appalachia Correctional Institution in Florida. It was the wildest adult prison that I've ever been to, the only adult prison I've ever been to, aside from the reception centers. And ACI is literally nicknamed Gay CI. The majority of the violence going down at this place, it's a psych camp, so you know we got some crazy people in there. The majority of the violence is either due to gays or due to gangs. It's one or the other. And it's so twisted over there that the gang members are allowed to partake in homosexual activity. So certain organizations could openly have what's known as boys. A boy is someone that goes to prison and basically either willingly or forcefully becomes feminized. And that's what it is. They usually get a female name for their nickname, so they walk around and they just portray a female to the best of their ability. And you know, when you got some crazy ass people that entertain that type of thing, it can get wild and people will literally fight over boys. It's nasty. It's insane. And it was a big culture shock seeing this type of thing, because me personally, I don't care what people do behind closed doors. I just hope that that door is closed. And in prison, when you're in open bay dorms, you gotta see what goes on, and even worse, you gotta smell it. Now, while I was going to school at Appalachia CI trying to get my GED, I was obviously in a classroom. This is the infamous classroom that I met Twisted Kid. This is the infamous classroom that I met my friend that's a Sereno. And this kid named Jose comes into the class. You know, he looks timid, he's small, he's skinny as hell. That was either his first prison or he had just came from another prison. He hadn't been down long. He just seemed very timid. He looked mad young, 18, 19, which was the same age as me at the time. And, you know, when someone comes in, we're just viewing them. We're trying to peep game. We're trying to view their tattoos, see if they have any sort of a gang affiliation, what city they're from based on the tag. He had an M on his tag, Miami. So now we're starting to think of, okay, well, what gangs are associated with Miami? You got Bloods, you got Zoes, you got Kings, you got Disciples. What could he be if he's a part of anything? But he looked dead soft. So I wasn't really thinking he was in anything. If anything, the Hispanics probably rock with him just off of race. Now we get to speaking to this kid, and more or less, you know, he's trying to talk the talk. He's trying to talk like he's bout it. He was talking about Chicago, and apparently he had ties to the MLDs, which is the Maniac Latin Disciples, which are in Miami. But one thing about this specific compound, Appalachia CI, the gangster disciples engaged in homosexual activity openly. The highest ranking members on that compound had boys. The most savage ranking members on that compound that will kill you, that will beat you to death, they have boys, and nobody was going to tell them different. Just because you understand you have to kill him to get your point across, and none of them were willing to go that far. But there were solid gangster disciples on that compound, 2 of which I was cool with. One was a white boy from Orlando. Another one was a short little black jit from Palm Beach. He had an AK tatted across his forehead, the Star of David on his face, straight gold teeth in his mouth. He didn't rock with those that rock that way. So he did separate himself from the group. This kid's talking the talk, talking about MLDs and this, that, and the third, da-da-da. And we're like, okay, cool. Well, he was either in Emma N dorm, which are open bay dorms, and they're going down. You don't want to be in those dorms. There's a lot of stabbings. There's a lot of things you don't want to see. In these open bay dorms, you have to understand, when people partake in bullshit like this, they're doing so under a blanket. It's very nasty because you will hear the sounds. You will smell things that you do not want to smell because of what's taking place. And that alone leads to violence, because if you're just not trying to see that type of shit and they're doing it, you're going to step down on them. And if they have something to say back, now there's a stabbing going on. And this was literally the madness at Gay CI. Thank God that I was in I dorm. We didn't have all that going on in I dorm. At I4, most of the punks were getting kicked out. We just weren't letting them in. There was 2 that came in, but we were in cells, so if something did happen, it happened behind a closed door. Thank God, because no one's trying to see all that bullshit. It was literally a day or 2, and Jose comes back to class. I'm talking about, I was dying laughing. You know, I was cool with somebody that I'm no longer cool with, so I'm not just going to keep throwing that person's name out there. But we peeped game first quarter. We're dying laughing. We start making fun of him. This kid Jose came into the classroom looking like a whole new bitch. He came in, he got his eyebrows done. He got a new set of blues. He got a little tight ass uniform with the tight pants. I'm talking about he went through the whole transformation, and it had only been like 1 or 2 days, you know what I mean? So first quarter, we're making fun of him. We're calling him Jasmine. We're calling him Jessica. Any J names. Just because it's like, bro, look at you. You came in here talking about you big MLD, this, that, and the third, Chicago, Miami. And now you a punk, you a boy, you a sissy. It doesn't get respect in Florida State Prison. You got 3 types of people in prison when it comes to that. You got the ones that hate gay people, are disgusted by it, and normally are very violent to it. Especially if they get put in the room with someone that's gay. They take it upon themselves to really hurt that person and let it be well known that they are very homophobic. They want nothing to do with people that engage in that. You have the people that laugh it off, that don't really care. It doesn't affect their life. As long as you don't try them, it isn't an issue. And then you have the people that condone it. Now, obviously, if you get tried in prison like that, you're expected to respond violently. Other than that, if I'm in a classroom and someone's whatever, I'm not really worried about it because your life doesn't affect mine, and let's keep it that way. I can't have you in the room with me because I don't want a rumor to start about me with you being in the room regardless of what. When you're behind a closed door with somebody, anybody can say something, and now you have to lash out in a violent manner in which you don't want to. But this kid became a full-blown punk, and at the time in I4, there was a Spanish punk in there who was actually from Chicago, used to be a Spanish Cobra, and, you know, this was a tattoo man, and he was a punk. And once again, eyebrows done up, this, that, and the third, and they became cool, and we knew what it was, and a lot of the punks just seemed to have a connection to the disciples on the compound because of the structure for the disciples on that specific compound. Now, I was shocked to find this article, but I was scrolling online, doing research, and I came across a mugshot that I recognized. A state prisoner accused of murder said Friday that he was trying to protect himself from rape the day he fought off and later fatally stabbed another inmate. Jose Enriquez, 23 of Miami, was brought over from Marion Correctional Institution in Lowell Thursday and appeared before a judge via video in the Marion County Jail Friday morning. Speaking to a reporter at the jail, Enriquez said he stabbed Omar Billups twice with a knife in the neck and stomach in an open bay area of the facility. He stabbed Billups, he said, because the 30-year-old fellow prisoner was trying to have sex with him. I wasn't going to let him rape me, Enriquez said, sitting on an aluminum bench. He was in an open bay using the bathroom when Billups slapped him and knocked him to the ground. Then, he said, Billups placed a knife at his neck and tried to remove his pants to rape him. The man said that they fought and he managed to get away from Billups. Enriquez said he was sitting by the bunk area when Billups returned. By then, Enriquez said he was armed with a knife and Billups also had a knife. Enriquez said they fought a second time, and during the tussle, he was able to take Billups' knife and use it to stab him. State records show Enriquez was serving time for grand theft of a motor vehicle, grand theft, and burglary, and was stated to be released on December 26th. With a new homicide charge, his release date is on hold. Billups was in prison for aggravated assault, grand theft, burglary, driving on a suspended driver's license, and shooting, throwing a missile at a building or vehicle. Billups, who was sentenced in Hillsborough County in 2011, died 3 days before his 31st birthday. Now, in another article, it says a Marion County judge has denied a bail request for a Miami man accused of killing a fellow inmate. Defense attorney David Falstad of Winter Park argued for a $50,000 bail, which Enriquez said his brother would post for him. Enriquez said he had a job opportunity lined up, had family in Marion County, and has a boyfriend he planned to live with. Fifth Circuit Judge denied Enriquez's request after hearing testimony from the Florida DOC Special Agent Veronica Edwards, who helped investigate the case. Enriquez and co-defendant Craig Middleton Jr. are accused by witnesses of making statements before the death about taking Billups out and having previous arguments with the victim. They allegedly owed Billups money. On July 17th, Middleton and Enriquez allegedly used makeshift knives to stab Billups at least 4 times. The altercation was caught on camera. At first, Enriquez told law enforcement that Billups had expressed interest the night before of having sex with him, but Enriquez wasn't interested. Enriquez said Billups tried to push him into the bathroom on the day of the murder. That was not on videotape. Enriquez can allegedly be seen kicking Billups after the murder and shouting gang-related sayings. Edwards said she talked to 32 witnesses who either heard or saw the killing. Now, Jose Enriquez eventually pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years in prison after the plea deal. When you're weak in prison, when you're gay in prison, when you're forced to be gay in prison because you're too weak to stand up for yourself, you are going to be a victim on every single compound because no one is going to protect you unless they are getting something from you. Now, I have heard the stories from Appalachia CI of white inmates or weak inmates or whatever using the bathroom and having someone run up and put a knife to their neck. They might be on the toilet taking a shit and they're told, turn around, don't even wipe. This is prison. This is how prison is. This is the reality. And it's sad to say there is no self-defense within the Florida Department of Corrections. If anyone can find a case of someone killing someone else in self-defense and getting away with it, please enlighten me, send it to me, post it, comment it. I would love to go over that case because when you're facing someone raping you, what are your options? What are you supposed to do? Frederick Patterson III, I've spoke on him many times, was in a cell with a sexual predator that he ended up beating to death. He didn't go and get a weapon. He couldn't. He was in confinement with an older man. This man expressed what he wanted to do with him. He fought the man off. The man ended up dying. He was given a murder charge for that. He was placed into a county jail cell with another sex offender that had charges on kids. He fought that man. He ended up killing that man. Now, Frederick Patterson III, who was also at Appalachia Correctional when I was there in 2014 and killed the man in confinement, he faces the death penalty. So when it comes to Jose, apparently he had a boyfriend on the street. Most likely had that relationship because he met somebody in prison and they got out and they continued writing him. He was turned out. It is what it is. It happens in prison. Sometimes it happens because people are weak. Sometimes it happens because it was in their heart to begin with. If you don't want to be around this type of bullshit, don't go to prison because this is an unspoken reality that the gangsters don't want to tell you about. Especially all the gangsters that actually partake in this shit. And a nurse told me when I was at Appalachia, the majority of people that have AIDS and these sexually transmitted diseases in prison aren't the older population. It's the 18-year-olds to 30-year-olds. It's the younger ones that are coming in that entertain a punk. Then they go back outside once they already contracted the disease. They give it to their baby mama. They give it to their side bitch that they're cheating on with their baby mama. They violate probation. They come back to prison and they stop playing with punks again. Now, Jose's life is, pretty much over. But while he does the remainder of these 30 years inside of Florida State Prison, he has the chance, and a very high chance, I would say maybe 80%, that the same thing that happened to him where someone tried to rape him will happen over and over again. To the point that either he's gonna die or he's gonna catch another body, never gonna get out of prison, he's gonna get put in an FSP, or he might just sit on death row. But this is the reality of prison. This is why y'all need to watch these videos and hear this sick shit. And a lot of y'all be like, oh, I don't want to hear about no gay shit. But you want to be a gangster and go to prison. You don't think you're going to be smelling assholes in there? This is the fucking reality. This is what it is. This is prison. This is why you need to smarten up and stay the fuck out. It's 1090J. I'm rocking with y'all. Y'all rocking with me. Till next time.